welcome to No Limits to Success, the podcast that empowers you to break barriers and achieve your dreams. Hosted by Les Moir, this show brings you inspiring conversations with trailblazers who redefine success in business and life. Les interviews guests ranging from startup founders to industry titans, uncovering their hard-won wisdom, innovative strategies, and the mindset that propelled them to extraordinary heights. Get ready to unlock your potential and discover that in the world of success, there truly are no limits.
So, welcome to No Limits to Success podcast. Today, we're joined by a visionary entrepreneur transforming the real estate landscape in Australia. Rhys Rogers, CEO and founder of Before You Bid, has revolutionised things for home buyers through providing great building and pest inspections at accessible and affordable prices. Since 2015, Rhys and his team have been passionate about using technology to provide high-quality property reports. And with a background in accounting and restructuring, Rhys saw the need to get it for a better way and has never looked back. So let's get ready to be inspired by Rhys Rogers' journey and the innovative solution he's bringing to the market. Welcome, Rhys. How are you?
Oh, inspiring people. I'm under the pump now. I'm under pressure, but I'm well. Thanks, Les.
Brilliant. Mate, welcome aboard. Thank you. It's good to have you on. Obviously, we've seen some things together over the last few years, but I'd love to find out some more about, I guess, and share to some others about your background, because you've made a big difference, grown very quickly, and what inspired you to start Before You Bid, and I guess what's your philosophy around business?
In terms of inspiration, I feel like you got to go back a little bit. It was kind of my family definitely is been the inspiration. I don't mean my wife and children who are separately an inspiration. I mean the family I grew up in, where my dad started his own business. My brothers started multiple businesses. One of my sisters kind of is a writer and has done stand-up comedy and is a law professor. And it kind of felt like if I was going to stay in a normal 9 to 5, that would have been weirder than starting a business. So that's just complete luck to kind of fall into a family like that. There's nothing special about it.
Family of entrepreneurs, that's pretty interesting.
And certainly Dad, I remember just often telling me, life, you get one crack at it. It's a game. You can lose here and there, but just keep playing. I've kind of, as I said, it was almost an expectation that I'd start a business. I just needed to get that idea first of what it was going to be.
And how did that become Before You Bid?
It became Before You Buy. So I think by the time this goes live, we'll have our name changed, Les, which is next Thursday. So we should refer to Before You Buy, unless you're releasing this tomorrow. But I had 3 ideas back in 2013 and 14. One around poker, which at university I didn't have a job. Really, I was playing mainly semi-professional poker. So I was very, very obsessive about that. Would play a lot, would read a lot. I was making a half decent income.
Remind me never to play you. Yep.
And then the other was around book publishing, which I don't know how I was going to beat Amazon, but anyway. Thankfully, I came into Before You Buy just through an agent I was dealing with through my old company, and he was complaining about having to open up a property twice for a building and pest inspection. Said, look, why doesn't the first person, let the second person just use it, and whoever gets the property gets it? And he said, because they don't get anything back, so they just think, what's the point for them? So that was kind of a bit of a light bulb moment. Kind of had a look at what else you could potentially put in there for the New South Wales listeners. There's strata reports, which we're looking at taking interstate. But that was kind of the basis of how it all started.
Right, so you stumbled across a gap in the market. I'm assuming you did some research about it, and it's definitely taken off, and now you're solid nationally. So
yeah, we did some research about it. Looking back at the business plan, it's horrific. But I think that's what you've got to do. You've just got to start it. I don't know how people are going to find our website. I don't know how it was meant to work. That probably wasn't done enough in the business plan. or detailed enough in the business plan. But we pivoted very early to getting these reports through the vendors and agents.
Mm-hmm.
The agents being the repeat customer talking to vendors. Funnily enough, while that is a huge portion of our business now, our main focus at the moment is on that, or big focus of ours is on that consumer channel.
Mm-hmm.
Where buyers are looking to find these reports. So you'll find us on Domain, you'll find us on property.com.au, you'll find us within CBA's home in app. Basically anywhere we think buyers may being deep into that DD process, we want to appear there and really bring forward our inspectors who are on our marketplace so that they don't have to worry about advertising, they don't have to worry about chasing leads. We can bring them all to them, and they can do what they're trained up to do and what they love, which is building and pest inspections or strata reports.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So there's a few lessons in that along the way, I guess. First of all, don't worry about it being perfect. Being done is better than perfect. I mean, that's a great sign. Also pivoting and being flexible, understanding the market and the needs changing, and then now you've got something that's really solid, and now you're extending the business, adding on additional business to the side, which is, I think the model and the growth that you've done over that period is it's pretty amazing. So a great model to follow, and yeah, it's obviously working for you.
Yeah, well, that due diligence space, it's never ending's the wrong thing, but there's a lot to it. So that's definitely a focus of ours at the moment as well. And just reducing that pain point for buyers. It's such a big decision to purchase a property, get a mortgage in Australia, where house prices are pretty ridiculous in a lot of areas for the average worker. So if we can reduce some of that costs, pull back the curtain on a few issues that a property might have, and just let buyers and sellers know what's got to be there to make this transaction go smoothly and transparent and be transparent. So yeah, that's kind of everything we think about when we're working on products all day.
Yeah, customer first. When you give them, then the revenue comes, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess the next question would be related to real estate, because a lot of the listeners are going to be interested in real estate. What's because you're in contact with hundreds or thousands of real estate agents on a weekly basis. So where do you see real estate property going in the next 5 to 10 years? A little bit of insight from your point of view.
It's a big
it's a crystal ball question, I know, but
I think, talking to a lot of agents, obviously the portals are such dominant players in that lead generation space. I know that there are groups like Bresic Whitney, which is a great real estate group in Sydney. They're doing kind of about 28% of their sales now off market, off portal.
Yep.
Where they're just buyer matching. I know that a lot of people are thinking about how to better match these buyers because some of the expenses are quite high in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll go that way. I think the portals are so good at getting those extra eyeballs there where you do get the extra price. Like personally, I would never sell without going onto them, other than you're just restricting yourself from getting every buyer that could push it up 3, 5, 10%. But there are some people really targeting that space, which will be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I think there'll just be a lot more. There's so many good little prop tech businesses out there working on all these little parts of the problem in transacting. There will ultimately be a time, I believe, in the 5 to 10 year window where that'll all be kind of in one system, and people will just be able to kind of track it quite easily and know exactly what's what. Whether that's through one company, having or 2 or 3 companies, however many it is, having that whole end-to-end solution, or whether it's some AI chatbot best mate who's sitting on your shoulder / sitting in your smartphone, who can just walk you all through it. I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's certainly. I'm waiting to see and hoping to be on the front foot with AI and what it looks like in the real estate industry. But it's hard to see where it's going to go. I guess the other one would be at the moment we're experiencing obviously a definite lack of stock, and I can't see that changing very quickly because they're building. So, are you seeing any intrinsics that would be adjusting the market at the moment?
Well, there's quite a bit of stock in Victoria, so I mean that's definitely gone up as investors have kind of, well, a few reasons fled that market. I was speaking to the Dashdot, who are arguably the biggest buyer's agent group in Australia. They do between 100 and 150 transactions a month. When we're talking about different places we operate, I was like, at the end, I was like, we operate in Victoria as well. And they're like, oh, no, we would never tell an investor to buy in Victoria. The rules there are just too harsh on investors. So I think that's been something that's played out with a lot of investors selling up their properties there.
Yeah.
Sydney's been pretty good. It's up kind of 20% or 15%, depending on, there's different ways of being measured out there. Queensland's a different market in itself, I think, because it's such a popular area. A lot of people wanting to move there or are moving there. People are scared to let go of their properties. That's a slight difference. So, but they all have their swings and roundabouts. There's a lot of New South Wales is talking about a lot more stock coming on. I think if you just got rid of stamp duty and had a land tax, I think that would be the ideal you see in people actually living in properties that they fit into. You see in New Zealand, for instance, there's 15% more volume of transactions based on the number of properties, just because there is no stamp duty. So if you're 60, 70 and you've got a 5-bedroom house and it's just you and your missus, you don't worry about this big lump sum you got to pay. You just move into what you fit into.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, because I mean, then you have a lot more investors moving things around and transactions happening. But
went off on a bit of a tangent there. But anyway,
sorry, what was that?
Went off on a bit of a tangent there.
Oh, we did. That's
I was thinking about it this morning, because in New South Wales they've released this big map of all these suburbs which have to have the extra thousands and thousands of dwellings. I thought there's probably a simpler way to do this as a first step. But anyway,
and then unless you're going to support builders and change the rules around that, then really you're not going to. It's too hard for builders to grow and take capacity, because the risk that they have to take about putting something on and quoting for now, when they have to have a fixed price, is just, that's tough.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I guess the question I love to ask business people, and because sometimes, especially somebody who's starting out in business or fairly early on in business, they see the success, but sometimes they don't see the challenges. What sort of are some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you were launching before you bid, or going through some processes and before you bid, and how you overcame them? And looking back now, what would you change with how you did it?
It's a good question. I'd say with launching it, I had so much energy, and I still have a lot of energy, but I've got two children and a wife, which I didn't have at the time. So I've got to focus my energy in a few more spots now. But I had so much energy towards the business that I wasn't really nervous. I wasn't stressed. There was nothing. I just knew it was the more work I did, eventually I'd find this thing which was going to be moderately, successful. So yeah, there's nothing I can really think of back then. But I was working for those starting, thinking of starting. I got told before I'm a little bit pessimistic on this front, and I'm such an optimistic person naturally, but I just feel like it's a bit more realistic to let people know. Like those first 4 years, I was working 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. Monday to Thursday. I'd work a normal day Friday, kind of 9 to 5. I'd work Saturday morning. I'd go and see my friends Saturday night, and then I'd work Sunday from midday to 5. And I did that pretty much for 4 years straight. I might have had a few days off here and there, but it wasn't not many, if any. So you've got to be willing to do not exactly that. I'm sure there's other founders who have done it, much more intelligently than I have. But it takes a lot of work and paid terribly. So I didn't feel any kind of real stress or anything at that point. Going back to the question, more recently, kind of learning points. I think the more staff you get, and then cash flow comes into it, and then other people's livelihoods, and then potentially making people. We had to make a couple of years ago when interest rates went up quite quickly. We had to make quite a few people redundant. That was the worst period. If I was doing this podcast then, you'd be able to see a little kind of twitch of my eyelid, which would have been showing how much sleep and stress I was under at the time. You just feel terrible. Thankfully, they were also nice about it, but it was just horrific. I just hated doing that. But we exposed ourselves, I guess, learning curve. I'm not sure if this exactly answers the question, but we exposed ourselves too much to the market with our pricing.
Right.
So we took on way too much risk. We were paying inspectors more than we were getting back, which is a terrible, terrible business model. But we thought we'd support the inspectors as well. And if we lost the inspectors, then we lose the business. So we want to support our inspectors during what was a tough time for them as well. But that was certainly, we shouldn't have exposed ourselves so much to the market. We've certainly built a better model around that sense.
No, I get that. And that's it. Sometimes, putting it all on the line, I guess, is something that I've done it a couple of times myself and had failures. But I think that's it. As an entrepreneur, you've got to have the drive until success, right?
Without being stupid about it, there's plenty of points. If it hadn't panned out over the 9 or so years I've been working on it, where I wasn't stupid enough to just keep going and die. It's like I had to see something. Like there had to be a spark somewhere. Like, okay, if I can just get to that, that's going to be fine. And then I got to that. Thankfully, each time, whenever it got a bit difficult, I was like, well, there's this thing coming up, so let's just nail that. And there's this thing coming up, let's just nail that. And it's kind of worked out quite well.
Yeah, I think there's got to be reality about it. If the market isn't accepting your product, then you've got to make a call on it sometime. And agreed like that. And you mentioned the tough times, and it is, I guess, when you're growing and you've got staff, as a founder, as an owner, you do take a lot on your shoulders with and responsibility and thinking about the livelihoods that are relying on you. But just as a question, now that you're solid, how would you maintain a strong company culture and keep your team motivated, especially as you scale?
We've done a few different things. Again, I can only say from the perspective of my business, it's funny, the company I worked at prior to Before You Bid, I've got like lifelong friends there, people I still message to this day. It was an awesome company, awesome culture, but I was 24, 25, and people would say the word culture, and I'd be like, that is such fluff. Like, what does that even mean? And I look back at it now, and like the partners of that company intentionally had drinks every Friday, and then would have, a committee for events where you could, put in $10 a month or whatever it was back then. And I'd take you bowling, or there'd be lunches, or there was always something every month. There was something on top of just the Friday catch up, which got everyone bonded together. And you'll stay there. Like I stayed there 8 years, and looking back, I probably only should have stayed there 6, but because I kind of liked everyone and it was a good place to work, I did stick around for a bit longer than I should have. And so, looking back at that now, I'm like, you're an idiot, because that was culture. There was intention there behind every decision they made to build culture, where I just thought it was just a thing that happened because there was heaps of good guys and good girls who worked there, and we all got along. That's funny. In terms of Before You Bid, I'm very mindful of that. So we do, monthly catch-ups with all our staff. We don't have HR, which people said that's pretty weird for a company with 34 people. Mm-hmm. But me and my brother, who kind of are the main people running the company, and our exec team, we make sure we're just constantly chatting to our team members. We have bi-monthly what we call town halls as well, where everyone gets together. We give an update of what's happened over the last few months, where we're going, how we're looking to our targets, and then the New South Wales team at least will go out afterwards for a dinner. Mm-hmm. Everyone interstate, if they've got a buddy there, we give them an allowance to have a lunch once a month to catch up with each other. And then every 6 months we fly everyone in to certainly the Australian team, we fly everyone in to catch up for, we have a learning day and then have a night out together. So we try and, hope that everyone's, gets along and good friends, and we think they are, but I guess I'm the boss, so I'm going to say that. But but you'd have to ask them. But I feel like we do have a very good culture. We've got great longevity of staff, and certainly close friends with plenty of people who have left, and we still hang out and chat to this day. So
brilliant, excellent. So understanding from what you said, then you would have you've got people in your office plus regional, and then it sounds like you've got overseas staff as well.
Yeah, we do. We've got some amazing staff. Well, they're not staff. They're kind of contractors over in the Philippines. But they're
me too. But you feel like they're family still, don't you?
Definitely. Yeah, we want to get over there and see them all. They're just legends, and they're so easy to work with.
Yep. Yeah, brilliant. Well, mate, thank you. And I know that you've taken time away from your family, your two young kids, and your wife for me to do this and to share your insights. Really happy. Thank you so much. You have a fantastic evening, and we'll catch up soon.
Cheers, Les. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate your time. See you.
Thank you for listening to No Limits to Success with Les Moir. We hope today's episode has sparked new ideas and motivation for your own journey. Remember, the only ceiling on your success is the one you create in your mind. To connect with Les's guests and explore their work, check out the links in our show notes. And if you want to dive deeper into the No Limits mindset, visit our website at nolimitstosuccess.com.au for exclusive content, resources, and upcoming events. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. It helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and redefining what is possible. And remember, there are no limits to success.